3 guaranteed featured units? Such an amazing value. But should you summon for the 40th anniversary Dragon Ball units? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan Battle video. In today's video, we are answering that age-old question. Should you summon for the upcoming guaranteed featured 40th Dragon Ball anniversary summon? As always, in order to answer that question, we are going to look at 3 major things. Number 1, we'll look at the new units releasing, and are any of those units going to be worth your summon, should you choose to use your hard-earned Dragon Stones on them. Next, we'll look at the banner, who's going to be on the banner. Now, this one's going to be a little bit easier than normal since it's pretty much just the 5 units you see here in front of you. And then finally, we'll look at what lies ahead. If we decide to dip into this guaranteed featured banner, what are you giving up in the near future? So let's go ahead and let's get started, of course, with the units on the banner. So this is going to take a little while than normal because, as you can see here, there are 5 major units on this banner. Now, there's actually a 6th, but he'll be given out for free upon the login. And trust me, he's anything but a free unit, right? He is on the level of the rest of the cards on this banner. But with that said, let's go ahead and let's take a look here. So let's start with the Vegeta. So they basically all have a similarly structured entrance passive, right? They have an entrance animation when there is a world tournament or Saiyan Saga or world tournament, or Saiyan Saga ally, so enemy or ally, at the start of the attacking turn. All right, they get a permanent attack and defense 150% buff with a chance of performing a critical hit 40%, and all allies attack and defense 40% for 4 turns. And all of the units have that. So with Vegeta's out of the way, I'm just going to skip that for the rest of them because they all have that passive. It's just the conditions for the conditions for it are slightly different, right? Vegeta's basic effects include Key 2, attack defense 200%, medium chance of performing a critical hit, and launches an additional super attack. When there's an enemy or ally who includes Goku, he guards all attacks. When attacking with 12 or more Ki, he gets attack and defense 100%, damage reduction 40%, attack defense 100%. And whenever guard is activated, he gets an additional attack and defense 19% permanently. So this stacks, right? This little bit here, every single time he gets that happens again, right? As well as the attack and defense 100% here, right? So this just keeps happening every time his guard is activated. It's not just the singular time. So and every single one of these units have this part of their passive to continue on. Moving on, right, his super attack isn't anything special, so it's all just like great. All of them have the same thing, like greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn. Okay, so moving on to the Majin Buu Good, right? This guy, attack defense, yeah, like I said, so same thing here, right? It's just his conditions are Android Cell Saga, Buu Saga, Android Cell Saga, or Buu Saga, right? Which is pretty easy to do for a unit like a Buu. He gets 200% attack defense, high chance of evading an enemy's attack, and recovers HP with candy. When there's an enemy or ally who includes Goku, has a high chance of performing a critical hit and 40% damage reduction rate. And then when attacking with 12 or more Ki, attack and defense 100%, great chance of 150% attack, and high chance of attack 150%, right? So he's got that little chance of his attack being greater. And this is really nice because Buu's super is actually slightly different. His is an AoE super, which can be really helpful for a lot of events like the giant form event. Now for him, for every attack received or evaded, his infinite passive stack is a 39% defense. So his attack isn't really going up, but he can become pretty tanky every time he evades. Moving on to Frieza. All right, Frieza's conditions are Saiyan Saga or Namek Saga, enemy or ally, which is pretty easy to do for him, especially with ECA Full Power Frieza, for example. His his basic effects are Key 2, 200% attack defense, and 30% chance of evading. When there's an enemy or ally who includes Goku, they all have something like that, right? His passive there is an additional 10% chance to evade, along with 10% damage reduction. Before receiving an attack with the turn, he has critical hit and damage reduction rate 40%. So it basically, in the first slot, he would have 50% damage reduction rate. After evading an attack, he begins to get 2 additional super attacks, as well as 100% attack and defense. And then for every attack evaded, right, this is his permanent stacking ability. Every time he evades an attack, he gets an additional attack defense 26%, right? So, I mean, he's got a very low chance to evade, but when it happens, he's going to build, right? So, I mean, he honestly, because his build requires this might be one of the few characters I recommend full dodge, but we'll talk about their hidden potential in another video. He greatly raises attack for 1 turn, just like the rest of them, so no issues there, right? Boo is pretty much the only one that's really different there. Gohan has the Planet Namek Saga or Android Saga for his ability. He has attack and defense 200% on his basic effects, along with a 50% chance of performing a critical hit. When there's a Goku, he changes key spheres from STR to Tech, and for every key sphere obtained, he has attack defense 10%. See, on top of what else he's doing, he's also sort of a semi-nuker. It's a very low nuking ability, but you're going to see why that is here in a bit. Now, with 5 or more key spheres obtained, he gets 20% damage reduction rate and launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super attack. With 8 or more key spheres obtained, he gets an additional 30% damage reduction rate and launches an additional super attack. So you can see he's going to be doing multiple super attacks with the amount of key that he gets. And he actually does have an additional portion on his initial passive, which is also changing AGL to Tech. So, right, you're changing both AGL and STR key spheres to Tech. His infinite stacking ability is a 35% attack for every time he performs a super attack. So if you can consistently get 8 or more in a turn, you are talking about a 70% raise every turn. And that's of course not including if you proc this with the 5 or more, right? If you do end up procking the super or the hidden potential for him, right? So he could definitely build quickly if handled correctly. And then no changes on his super attack effect. The final is the Piccolo Jr. Right, Piccolo Jr. Needs World Tournament or a Goku to activate his passive, and his special on that is an additional damage reduction rate, but also giving all allies, right, 40%, just like the rest of them. He gets key 2, attack defense 200%, and damage reduction rate 20%. So 60% damage reduction rate for him if his interest animation is procced. He has an additional super attack when there's a Goku, and when receiving an attack, he gets 150% attack. When facing only one enemy, he has effective against all types. For every attack received, right, his infinite stacking ability is 16% attack and defense, right? So each of them have sort of a different way that they can build this passive infinitely. And so you just have to sort of manage how they use it. But it's really interesting because I don't think we've ever seen anything like this on so many different units, at least. So it'll be interesting to see how this really plays out, especially in much longer events where you could really play this up on a lot of units. So it'll be interesting to see how they play. Like, I'm honestly curious if they would be able to keep it, because these are all TURs and they're essentially designed to be used all together. I'm curious if they could actually do well in Festival of Battles, like with the amount that they're boosting each other. This could be very interesting, especially if you can really play up this. I do think Gohan might have the easiest time to do it because his is just straight up do super attacks, but we'll see. So that's everybody that's going to be on the banner. Like I said, there is a 6th card, the Goku, but he'll be giving out for free. So all in all, honestly, each of the units are unique in their own right, and they're all quite good for the time being, right? This of course assumes, you do value longer content. That's where they're going to, medium to long content is where they're going to be the best. So honestly, given that the units are quite good and it only costs 30 stones to do a summon on their banner, I would say that does give them, I would say that, yeah, you could, that is a summon for the characters. So we have one in the category of summon for the characters. They are very good and will benefit you for pulling them. But of course, now the question is the banner. What about the banner? Well, unlike most cases where we would sit here and have to analyze who's going to be on the banner, what you see right here is the banner. There's nothing else, right? The only thing that's going to be on the banner is these guys, and as far as featured SSRs, and then like just random SRs, So it's not like heroes, right? Where like when you pull heroes, you're just getting straight up all SSRs, right? This one is they'll be these guys will be the only featured SSRs here. Well, actually, no, that's incorrect. Heroes isn't all SSRs. There are SRs on that banner, so there'll be SRs in this banner as well. But these will be the only featured units. So you will be pulling these when you pull on them. And in fact, they have clarified that there are 3 guaranteed featured every time you do a multi here, and a multi only costs 30 stones. That combined with the fact that in order to pity one of these characters, they have reduced the cost of pity. It is only 24 coins to pity a unit. Now, of course, since you are doing a 30 stone multi, that is reduced from 10 to 6 stones, right, to achieve pity, right, as you would normally get per multi. So, I mean, it takes a little, it doesn't take more because, right, this is essentially 4 multis, right? So theoretically, right, if all went your way and you didn't get super shafted because 3 featured characters, theoretically, within 210 stones, factoring pity, you would have all of these characters rainbowed within 210 stones. So for the characters on the banner, right, it's kind of a good summon, right? It's kind of a good summon, especially since it is guaranteed featured, and within 200 stones, you are very likely to pull all of them to rainbow, barring some extenuating circumstances, right? So that's actually that's actually 2 in the category, right? We have the summon for the units and the summon for the banner. The banner is good because these are the only featured units on the banner. So that's really, really good. The only problem is what lies ahead. 200 stone sounds easy until we forget what's about to happen, right? So before the release of these guys, right? So this will be within, within 18 hours of me releasing this video, we will have the Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku releasing, right? And this banner will be dropping probably in about a week. We just had the current data download, and as you can see, they are not in it, which means they will likely be in next week's data download, which means they will probably release Tuesday or Wednesday next week. Unless they decide to do a random data download drop. It's possible, right? They probably don't want to wait too long after Legend Summons, but they did clarify that this would come out at a later date, probably because they didn't want to take away from the Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who is dropping this week. So, regardless of when it drops, right? If you summon on them, you are taking away from Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the guy everybody's been waiting for the longest time. Secondly, sometime this month, we should be getting a crossover EZA banner here, which will have this group of EZA Super Dragon Ball Heroes units with the Limit Breakers, who also work well, probably going to work well with Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku. So just something worth noting. I mean, I don't recommend you summon on this banner, but just know that it is coming. But the real big thing, right, we already talked about it. I'm not too concerned with the December Dokkan Fest and the Carnival, although, right, it is a double rates carnival, right? The big thing that everybody should be concerning themselves with, of course, is the upcoming New Year's step up. Just like last year, right? And we talked about it in previous videos, right? There is a New Year's step up at the end of the year, which is likely going to cost you 200 stones to do a full rotation to get a unit, right? And if we follow trends from last year, right? Like on the Dokkan Fest banner, right? Step is going to be a super easy A unit, which, I mean, for this year, that's going to be really good because that's going to be units like STR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who is arguably one of the best TURs, right? A category leader, easy A from this year, right? So this could be, right, like, who recently easy A'd. Could be any of the guys here. So this could be like Path to Power Kid Goku likely on this. I mean, it'll likely be a lot of the characters you see here on this. I mean, it'll be a pretty big, yeah, it'll probably be a pretty big list here. To summon for, and then on the next step, step 5 will be a category leader guaranteed up to the previous Tanabata unit. So this step will lead you to UI Goku, which will also have more recent Dokkan Fests on it from 2024 into late 2025. All right, same thing goes for step 4, more recent 2025 Dokkan Fest. And then the final step will have some LRs on it, including if we assume they follow trends from last year, the recent TDC unit, so right, the Golden Frieza and Gogeta could be here. They could even throw us a curveball and throw the GDC LRs on here. That'd be kind of crazy if this did this, because this would be Omega and the STR Blues. I think that would make this very enticing. So if you're somebody who didn't do too well on GDC, that could be really, really good. And then, of course, the Carnivals, same thing, but for Yellow Coin LRs and Carnivals. Honestly, I mean, not going to lie, if you're someone who doesn't summon a lot on Carnivals or Yellow Coin banners, which most players don't, there's actually incredible value in the Carnival step over the Dokkan Fest banner. Because most people are going to summon on the Dokkan Fest banner and pull a lot of those units anyways. But the Carnival banner, right, going all the way up to Jiren at its final step at the end of the 200 stones from last year was incredible, especially if anybody didn't pull on his double rates banner. And it had pretty much all of the Yellow Coin LRs from that year, like not a single one was missed. And so you can expect the same from this year. All of the Yellow Coins this year up to the last Carnival. So if we follow last year, that'll be the Wrathful Broly. If we're lucky, it could be the GDC LR. So this could be Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and STR Rose here, right? With EZA yellow coins and recent yellow coins here. And then last year's Tanabata LR. So Jiren would be here. And then, right, some banner units. And then yellow coin LRs, right? So again, honestly, Carnival's really good. Otherwise, the next big thing after this is, of course, New Year's Dokkan Fests, which most players shouldn't summon on, right? But the big thing after that, of course, is the 11th anniversary, leading into that, leading out of the New Year's campaign. So there is a lot coming up, and there's a lot of big summon characters coming up. So honestly, this is tough. Because again, guaranteed featured, and you're likely to rainbow all of the units within 200 stones, right? Because if you don't pull them, you're definitely going to have enough coins to pity whoever you need to pity to rainbow them, right? So it'll be pretty unlikely that you don't get them within the 200 stones. So that's a tough call, right? But if I'm being honest, if I'm going to recommend a summon, it is going to be over the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And remember, the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I kind of barely recommended summoning. I tiered my recommendation on his summon because we're starting to get to that mode where anniversary is only 4 months away, and you want to be setting yourself up for success to have as many stones going in, so in case something happens, you are able to at least pity one of the anniversary units, should you need to. So with that in mind, I think once again for this, I will have to pity I will have to tier my recommendation. If you were anywhere between 800 and 1,000 stones, then go right ahead. 200 free stones, not too bad. You'll probably make that up by the end of the celebration, and you'll walk out with a full rainbow team of units, right? If you were between 5 and 800, I think you can get away with it. You're pushing it, but I think you can get away with doing a couple multis here. I probably don't recommend you try to chase the rainbow unless you're feeling really lucky, right? Because again, a full set of 200 stones, and again, you might get it sooner than that, right? But let's assume the worst here for the recommendation, right? If you're anything below 500 stones, I'm gonna be honest, probably not a good idea to summon on this banner, even though it is guaranteed featured, right? So that's kind of how I'll frame it. If you're 1,000 or greater, go ahead, do your 200, you'll be set, right? If you're pay to play, low to play, I'm willing to bet they will probably have maybe some tickets for this to entice low to play, low to play players. So you could probably use those. If not, it's even then, it's not that big of a deal. Again, it's really not that many stones, all things considered. So pay to play, low to play players is not really going to affect you all that much. So yeah, but all in all, if you're really stuck in choosing to summon for this, let me put it simply, you're better off summoning for Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku over these guys. Unless, of course, you're a collector. If you are after these guys for the collection purposes, right, and to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball, then, of course, right, do what you gotta do. But I do recommend summoning on this guy over them. So, guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know, will you be summoning for the 40th anniversary Dragon Ball characters? Or will you be saving your stones for something in the future? Or are you going to summon for Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku here in about 18 hours? Let us know in the comments down below what you plan on doing. Remember, the Goku does release shortly after the Goku does release shortly after the Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku, right? The first of the manga cards will release at 4 hours after the Goku releases, and you'll have some time to play around with him before the others drop, and you can get a feel on whether or not you want to summon for the rest. So just let that settle there for a minute. So otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching. And aloha.